When you watch things like that, I mean, incredible action like that, do you ever find yourself thinking, gosh, I wish I really could do those things?
Oh.
Must be a letdown to have to come down to earth.
It is, I know, you know, because when you see it all together, suddenly there's a bit of magic to it, and you forget what went on to make it happen. You know, for those of you who know about movies, it takes a long time to make them. You just do a little piece at a time, and sometimes you don't seem to be getting anywhere. Like this week, we're making Superman 2. I've been spending all week pushing the top of the Empire State Building around a stage, and every day the same piece, you know, it's just a little piece. It's done as a mock-up, and then when you finally see it all put together, suddenly, you know, it's got some energy to it.
This Superman is nothing of the kind. I've discovered his weakness.
Yes.
He cares. He actually cares for these Earth people.
Like pets.
I suppose so.
Sentimental idiot.
Must be very difficult for an actor to relate. I mean, in the days of Ben-Hur, you could relate to a chariot, but
Right.
if a studio's coming up with effects like Star Wars or Superman managed to get together, how difficult is it?
Well, you see, I think that in the long run, what people actually are interested in a story is the characters, you know. And what makes Superman happen is that he can do so many things. I mean, he can fly and he can, you know, he can walk through walls and do all this kind of stuff. And I just tried very hard not to get lost in the scenery, if you know what I mean, because nobody who's really watching this film has a sophisticated understanding of front projection, blue backing, and things like that. They want to see Superman fly, and that's what it's all about. So there actually is a great satisfaction as an actor to try to make that real.
Do you find a lot of people take it maybe too seriously for you? Because there's an enormous Superman cult.
I don't know. Superman has had different attitudes. Sometimes it's been comic, sometimes it's been, you know, in the 50s, the series that's running, I think, sometimes on television over here, Superman can only fly in two directions. He can fly diagonal that way and a diagonal that way. That's because he was on a glass table and they just sort of tilted the camera and had dry ice going by it, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's nice that, I mean, that's kind of flip. That's sort of a send-up. They can't play it too straight. We tried to play it straight. I said, what would happen if a man could really fly?
Were you a Superman fan when you were younger?
Sorry, I didn't know anything about him, I'm afraid. I was a complete ignoramus. I had to do a lot of study, a lot of homework to learn about him.
Right, what was the worst part of acting as Superman? The worst thing?
My performance. No, the worst part of Superman. I would say, God, that's a very good question. You know, because I wish I could tell you all about how we fly, you know, and how we actually do it. Because there's some very funny moments of me, like a fledgling bird, not really knowing what I was doing. But we're not supposed to tell everybody about the flying because then you lose the magic and it's not so much fun. I would think that the worst part though was having to get physically fit to play Superman because I wasn't very healthy when I started out. And in fact, they brought along a coach of the British Olympic track
Dave
team.
Prowse, yeah.
But no, at first it was an Olympic coach from the British team. And then, you know, he said, well, I don't know what you can do with this guy. He looks too skinny to me. He looks like a, you know, string bean. And so they went over his head and got Dave Prowse, who, if you saw Star Wars, he was...
Yeah, well, we had Dave on the program.
Did he?
Actually,
Well,
and
he
he was
was
telling us how
Oh,
he
God.
worked you out.
Well, that was the hardest part because we used to go into the gym for 2 hours every evening after shooting all day and lift weights, you know, for 2 hours. And he started out by having me lift every weight I possibly could, adding 5 pounds more and 5 pounds more until finally I just couldn't even move. And he said, right, that's where we start. And I did that for 6 months, you know, and I think that was the hardest
Do you feel
part.
better for it?
Yeah, now that's the part. Don't anybody be put off good exercise because it's the pain you go through is directly worth it because you get so much satisfaction to come out just and that was the first step. That was the first step.
Straight down to the phone booth.
Right, yeah. And then you really feel that sense of good health, you know, and it's good. So anybody's into weightlifting, stick with it.